You eating daddy grease? You eating daddy grease? Clean daddy dishes. Clean daddy's dishes, please, monkey man. As some of you know, I am keto carnivore dieter, so a lot of the stuff that I end up cooking for myself, I end up having some grease left over that maybe just won't come out of the pan, or that's left on the plate or in the bowls or whatever. So in my opinion, that is just free food for my dog. I am also keeping him pretty close to ketogenic and carnivore as well. And some people just absolutely can't fathom the fact that you can eat fat as much as I do and actually have really good health markers. But I can, so please don't nobody comment down below going, you're gonna wreck your health. My health has improved dramatically since I started doing this stuff. So just save it, go tell it to somebody else. I'm perfectly comfortable with how I'm living my life. I am no longer open to suggestions on how to arrange my diet. And look at that fuzz butt. He's pretty happy too, aren't you, Monk Man? Monkey Man! Do you approve? Do you approve, Monk Man? We'll say, heck yeah, I do, because Daddy gives me good stuff. Doesn't Daddy give it good stuff? I'm also an ultralight backpacker, so I know that a lot of people that do campground type stuff, they all drag around a big heavy golf cart. This park that I'm currently in is just huge. It's massive. It is the largest park I've ever seen in my entire life, and that has been the absolute best way to get around this massive, huge, swole up park. And it only weighs about 25 pounds. I mean, I have never seen a park so big in my entire life. Like I've been to a lot of them as well. And while some of them are, like bigger than others, this thing is just beyond comprehension as to how big it is. Like, there's got to be like 400 or 500 spots in this place for campers and RVs, tent sites, small little cabins, and little nooks and crannies hidden away everywhere. But I like to travel really, really light. And even though, your feet are just about as light as they can get, they don't have any trash cans at any of the sites here. And the only trash cans that are available to people in the Orlando Thousand Trails is all the way up by the rec center. So if you're not parked by the rec center, you got a hike on your hands. I happen to be back here in D section. As you can see, there is nothing around. It actually makes you feel as though you were out in the wilderness, which is kind of what I have been wanting to do. So I can effectively have full hookups, but feel like I'm in the middle of nowhere. Not to mention, you get a little bit of privacy. At least I like privacy. Some people, when they finally get their RV and, they want to be around as many people as possible and they just want to talk to everyone, I think that's great. And I'll probably end up doing that at like the next place that I'm at. I'm sure that it's nowhere near as big as this. But just the fact that I have all of this area, all of this, and there's nothing around, that makes this a fantastic home base. I mean, if you don't like people, this is where you want to be. You want to be in D section. If you want, the loud, if you want all the people, if you want all the traffic, if you want all of that type of thing, you go park out there in the middle, next to the pools, next to the shuffleboard stuff, next to the volleyball court, next to the rec center, all that kind of thing. But if you want some privacy, if you want just nothing at Orlando Thousand Trails, this is where you want to be. D section for sure. But getting back to the whole weight thing, I've had this TV for like a long time. I've been in this camper now almost a solid 3 months. I have turned this thing on once and one time only. So I'm finally considering just getting rid of the weight. The problem is that it doesn't weigh that much. So here's my fear. Like, I think everyone has a slight fear. It's like, what am I going to do if I don't have good cell reception and I can't watch like YouTube TV on my iPad or my laptop, right? And does this tiny, lightweight little TV, does it really make that much difference? So yeah, when it comes to any amount of dead weight that you've just been carrying around and you're not using, it's a big deal. If you're not using it, if it's just sitting there, taking up space, then you need to dump it. As soon as you get to your next spot, it's a really good practice to just kind of go around all of your cabinets, all of your drawers, all of your little nooks and crannies inside of your RV and get everything out of there that you haven't touched in that amount of time. Because even though it's like, oh, well, it's not costing me anything just sitting there. Yes, it is. Every time you have to fire up your truck and you've got to drag that dead weight around to your next spot, it's costing you money. It takes energy to move that mass, and if you're not using that mass, give it to someone else. Drop it off at the Goodwill. Give it to charity. Heck, maybe even sneak it into the rec center. Maybe someone else will pick it up. But, you know, if it's actually really worth something, throw it up on Craigslist or, you know, let it go or something and maybe make some money so that you can use that money to put in your gas tank so you can haul all the other stuff around with you. You know, I think sometimes we just have irrational fears about, like, you know, what we have and what we don't have, or what we might not have if we were to give it up and stuff like that. But you have to be honest with yourself when you start dragging around a bunch of weight, because it's going to put wear and tear on your vehicles. It's going to cost you more in gas to transport stuff that you don't use. You don't look at it anyway. It's been shoved and crammed into a drawer or a cabinet for a long time anyway. And if someone was to walk into your camper and then steal it and you wouldn't notice it was gone for a month, you probably don't need to be dragging it around with you. I had to do that exact same thing with my ultralight backpacking setup. I had to constantly go through my pack and I had to check and I had to see and I had to make sure, do I really need this? Have I ever used it? I've drug it out on 3 trips now and I've never once pulled it out of my backpack. And as you start to get into that habit, as you start to use that mentality that, hey, it's costing me energy, I can't hike as many miles if I'm dragging around this extra weight, the same thing applies. Even though you're in a truck, you're still having to move that mass that is unnecessary to be moved. So in a lot of situations, I just used the hiking gear that I generally carry around backpacking. Like, I've got that little chair sitting over there, that Helionox one chair. A lot of people carry those big, heavy camping chairs. A lot of them got these huge reclining chairs that's got the side table and the cup holder and stuff. All of that is completely unnecessary. Sure, I guess it might make it a little bit more comfortable. And I guess if you're old and you've got plenty of pension money to burn, yeah, do what you want. It's not my money. I don't care what you do. But if you're a bit younger and you are a bit more nimble and you don't mind sitting a little closer to the ground, some little chairs like that, they are the perfect alternative to those big, heavy folding chairs, those big, heavy reclining chairs. And in most circumstances, anything that you could do while camping in an RV, you can use the hiking equivalent to get the vast majority of it done. So with all that being said, I've already gone through my gear probably once or twice, I think, already. And I've gone through, you know, am I ever going to use this? And then, if I can say yes to it, I start asking myself, well, how often are you going to use it? And seriously, if it's just kind of an occasional item that literally is going to see use maybe once or twice a month at max, you have to start asking yourself, can I get the same job done with something else that I'm already dragging around as well? Alright, boys and girls, that's all I've got for you all today. I just kind of wanted to go through that because, you know, gas is, even though it's getting a little bit cheaper right now, the price of oil is kind of tanking, so the prices are coming down, but it's not always going to be that way. You and I both know this. Gas prices always end up going back up sooner or later. Not to mention, it's just a good practice that if you've got a bunch of extra stuff that you really don't use, you really should kind of consider giving it away to someone that maybe could make a lot more use out of it than you ever will out here on the road, dragging it around from spot to spot, state to state, and it barely sees any use at all. Alright guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Also subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you haven't subscribed to the channel already. Thanks so much for watching yet another riveting episode of Avion Awesome. I'm Mark Puckett and I'm going to see you guys again on the next one. Peace out and be light out there.